Right, good morning, boys and girls. So, you know that we're into our second reading unit, which is all about fantasy. And I know some of you love this genre, some of you not so much. So, all the activities that we're going to be doing for the next month will be on fantasy fiction. So, let's go over this PowerPoint. So, we have Little King here, and we want to know if it's fantasy or if it's realism, which is also just means realistic. If you look at the word realism, take a look here, look at this smaller word, real. Okay. All right. So this king wants to know if you can help see if we can learn about fantasy and realism, because then we're going to teach his people of his kingdom so that they are no longer confused. Basically means us. All right. So what does fantasy mean? When you say something is fantasy or make-believe, then it's something that's not real. Most of the time it's something created by someone's imagination. Okay, and if something is fantasy or make-believe, then it's something that cannot happen in real life. Example, the dragon flew over the kingdom looking for a meal. Well, we know this is fantasy because dragons are not real. Now, when we're reading stories, I want you to remember, all stories have certain elements. They have to have a setting. There's a time and place where the story takes place, and it's important to help move the story along. It's got characters. All right. There's always a problem. And if there's a problem, there's a solution. And remember, we've talked about with problems, it could be a problem a character has with another problem or with another character, or it could be a character facing their own internal problems. Okay. And then don't forget, with all stories, there's the events. It's our plot diagram that we've talked about previously. And we're going to be doing some plot diagrams during fantasy. All right, so what does realism mean? Again, if you remember, here's the word real. When you say something has realism, then it just means it can really happen. Things that are realistic or have realism do exist in the world. Okay, you can find them somewhere on Earth. Example, the chipmunk slept in a bed of acorns. Well, that can be true. All right, let's continue. So here we are. Look at the nice crown he has on his head. Now that we have learned what fantasy and realism means, we're going to see if we can decide the difference between the two. The purple teddy bear drove the motorcycle down the highway. Think about it. The purple teddy bear? Well, can they drive a motorcycle? That's fantasy. All right. Teddy bears are real, but think about a teddy bear driving a motorcycle. That's not real. So in this case, this would be fantasy. The lovely butterfly landed on a sweet-smelling red rose. Cute picture. Well, that can really happen. All right. Butterflies are real, and they do land on different flowers. So that's realism. Jamal raised his hand in class to get the teacher's attention. Well, that's realistic. That absolutely is realism. The unicorn ran quickly through the forest. Well, what do you think? Yep. Fantasy, because unicorns do not exist in the real world. And I know that's sad to some of you. Okay, it'd be really cool to have a pet unicorn. One lucky day, the fisherman caught a mermaid in his net. That'd be cool too, but guess what? Yep, you got it. Fantasy. The jazz musician plays a beautiful song on his trumpet. What do you think? Realism. It's absolutely realistic. On the back of a dragonfly, the fairy flew home to see her family. There's a lot going on there, huh? Well, we know it's fantasy because fairies don't exist, okay? And it's not possible for them to ride a dragonfly. In space, the shuttle was able to take pictures of Earth. Guys, that's realistic. All right, absolutely has happened. The construction workers looked at the plans to see what to do next. Nothing fantasy about that. That's absolutely realistic. After getting dressed, the invisible man went for a walk. Well, I can get dressed and I can go for a walk. But what makes it fantasy is the invisible man part. Doesn't exist. Kind of be cool though, wouldn't it? All right, so here comes the king. And again, we know this is a speech bubble. All right, if you see, it's pointed to his face. Well done, lords and ladies. Now for the real challenge. We're going to be presented with 4 sentences and asked to find the one that shows either fantasy or realism. All right, let's see if you've got this. Which sentence is realistic? The witch made a potion out of eyeballs? Ugh. Flying on her broom, the witch looked for goblins. My mom dressed as a witch for Halloween. Or the witch casted spells over everyone in the kingdom. Or we're looking for the one that's realistic. Well, we know A is out. B is out. My mom dressed as a witch for Halloween. I think it's C, but let's take a look at D again. The witch casts spells over everyone in the kingdom. All right, the only one that is realistic is letter C. If you got that one, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. Let's look at the next one. Now we're looking for one that's fantasy. Frogs are known to catch flies with their tongues. Well, I think that's realistic, don't you? Freddy the Frog danced on the lily pad with his friends. Frogs have long and powerful legs. I think that's realistic. Most frogs are found in tropical rainforests. I think that's realistic. I think the one that's fantasy, the one that's made up, is right here. Freddy the Frog dancing on the lily pad with friends. Be kind of cool to see, but that's definitely not realistic. All right, we want to know realism, realistic, and again, real. Strawberries have magical powers that can make you fly. That'd be awesome, but I think that's fantasy. The color red in the strawberries come from it traveling down a rainbow. Can you visualize that? Think about it. Again, be cool, but it's fantasy. If you eat a strawberry, you will shrink to the size of a mouse. Don't know if I want to be the size of a mouse. Or strawberries are fruit that grow in the spring. Which one is realistic? It is D. Okay, A, B, and C are all fantasy. Which sentence shows fantasy? The queen had a magic wand which could turn people into animals. Well, I think it's A. But even though you think it's A, let's look at the other ones. Okay, B, C, and D then should be realistic. Because up here it's showing us we're looking for fantasy. B, as the queen walked down the castle hall, she tripped on her long dress. Well, that's realistic. How about the queen waved to her royal subjects? That could be realistic. Or the queen loved diamonds and rubies. That could be realistic. The one that's fantasy is right up here. Let's do another one. Which sentence shows realism? Again, remember, realism, it's real. These special glasses can help you see the future. I think that's fantasy. Once you put these glasses on, you will become a millionaire. Oh, I want a pair. But guess what? That's fantasy. Glasses were created to help you see things better. Well, I know I wear glasses, and that's why I wear them. So I think it's C, but before I pick C, I want to look at D. These glasses can make you see aliens from another planet. Yeah, that's made up. So A, B, and D are all made up. Okay, the author has a great imagination, but the one that is realistic would be C. So now we're looking for fantasy. Children make snowmen in the winter. Have you done that before? Sure you have. So guess what? That's realistic. How about B? When the snowman was finished, he came to life and walked down the street. Has your snowman ever come to life? Nope. So I think that's fantasy. However, we want to continue looking at C and D. Boys and girls, I can't stress enough. If you're given multiple choice, look at each possible answer. All right. How about C? A snowman's arms are made with branches from a tree. Okay, I think that's realistic. How about D? Adding a hat and scarf help a snowman to look like a person. And there's a picture. Sure. The one that's fantasy is the one where he came to life. Kind of reminds you of what Christmas show? Frosty the Snowman. Good job. We're looking for realism here. The elephant rode a bicycle to the circus? Great visualization. That's not realistic. When the elephant makes sounds with his trunk, peanuts jump up and run away. Again, turn on that internal movie camera. He's making sounds with his trunk and then peanuts just decide to jump to life? I think that's fantasy. Cute image, but fantasy. Most elephants are from Asia or Africa. Right, I think C is my realistic statement, but let's look at D. When elephants hear music, they like to dance and sing. I think that's definitely fantasy. So the correct answer would be C. All right, let's continue. Last one. Which sentence shows fantasy? When you are feeling sick, the doctor can help you feel better. I think that's realistic. The doctor gave me pills that can make me run faster than a cheetah. How awesome would that be? I think that's fantasy. But again, we're only at B. Let's look at C and D. C, becoming a doctor takes a lot of hard work. That's definitely realistic. And D, many people become doctors so they can help people. That's realistic. So our fantasy would be this one. All right, so again, remember, we're talking about fantasy fiction this next month. And with any story, you have the same story elements. You have character, you have setting, you have your plot, you have your problem, your solution. Okay, we're going to keep hammering them home. All right, so guys, when you're done watching this and you're going to watch a video because you're going to go into your guided readers and do an activity there, and you have to watch my video to make sure that you understand what you're going to do. All right, guys, happy reading. See you soon.